What was your response when you heard what Governor DeSantis said?
I dealt with this every day for 2 years. And, what I can tell you is you have to realize that whether we're talking about Gazans and Palestinians, all of them don't. You've got half of them at the time that I was there didn't want to be under Hamas's rule. They didn't want to have terrorists overseeing them. They knew that they were living a terrible life because of Hamas. You had the other half that supported Hamas and wanted to be a part of that. We see that with Iran, too. The Iranian people don't want to be under that Iranian regime. They don't. We saw what happened to Masa Amini. We saw how they treat them. There are so many of these people who want to be free from this terrorist rule. They want to be free from all of that. And America's always been sympathetic to the fact that you can separate civilians from terrorists. And that's what we have to do.
So that was Nikki Haley. This was a back and forth that has kind of blown up in the past couple of days, especially as the argument over, well, who is going to take in all of these displaced people in Gaza, which it should be Arab nations or nobody, has heated up. Welcome back to the program. Dana Loesch here with you. You can listen coast to coast. You can stream the radio program. You can watch the simulcast. And also later today, 3 p.m. Eastern, I believe. Yes, 3 p.m. Eastern. My exclusive sit-down with Florida First Lady Casey DeSantis. So you don't want to miss that. The back and forth on this began ultimately with, I guess it was Face the Nation, CBS, when they were asked separately about, well, what's going to happen to all these people that are in Gaza. And Ron DeSantis, we played that audio yesterday, was just saying, look, no, we're not bringing people in. That's just the way it is. It's not going to happen. We're not bringing people in. And I'm gonna touch on this more because AOC is very clumsily tried to take issue with this, and he gave the reasons as to why you can't bring people in. Nikki Haley, she was asked about this with Jake Tapper, and I think it was a clumsy way of asking. I get aggravated with the way Jake Tapper does questions. Because some people, their interview style is they just fire off machine gun-like questions at you. Like, for instance, George Stephanopoulos is just pow, 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 pow. He just asks you questions. He doesn't do a segue. He doesn't do a setup. Some people are a little bit more casual and conversational. That's my kind of style. Some people just sort of sputter on and trip and say, and that's what Jake Tapper does. It's just weird. I mean, it took him, of the clip, 3/4 of it is him trying to ask this question. And then he didn't even articulate it, I think, in a focused enough manner because it just was sloppy all around. He was playing off of the Face the Nation soundbite of DeSantis talking about these refugees, contrasting it with what Haley had said prior. And so you have the news media that was trying to pit them together against each other with this. Although I don't think, they needed much help because they've disagreed with each other at debates prior. And so that's what Tapper was asking. I was a little bit incredulous at some of the folks on social media who were like, that's not even what, she wasn't even talking about this issue. I'm like, do you think that this conversation only exists in this 2-minute clip on Twitter? Because it doesn't. Because this is actually an extended version of a conversation that's been going on for 3 days now. So she was asked to expand on how she had contrasted previously with DeSantis. I don't think that they were taking pains to avoid a rhetorical confrontation, but her answer was weird. And I think part of it was, and I'm not a fan of her foreign policy. I'm not a fan of her entirely politically, but I'm giving a little bit of benefit of the doubt because the way that he asked that question was so goofy. And I got the sense that she didn't know exactly what she was supposed to be responding to first. And that wasn't because he was trying to be mischievous and try to get her in a gotcha. I just think he had an inarticulate way of asking this question. So she could have come out, and what she should have done, just to play it safe, is say, we should not be taking anyone in. If, the Jordanians aren't bringing anyone in, if the Qataris are not bringing anyone, Qatar has no problem, apparently, with taking in anybody, and so long as it's Hamas leadership. That's what her answer should have been. And instead, she was trying to triangulate, made popular by Dick Morris, who worked for Bill Clinton back during the 90s, trying to look like she's sympathetic to both sides while still rising above the fray. She was trying to triangulate on the issue very inarticulately. But it was also an inarticulately asked question. Yet it made her sound even softer than maybe she had anticipated sounding, if that makes sense. It made her seem as though she could not come to a position decisively on saying, no, we shouldn't be bringing anyone in. Because she went into this long, well, and there are people there who, et cetera, which we're going to come back to, that, they don't want to be under this either. They don't want to be under this. So that opened, and this was smart of him to do this. I actually would have criticized DeSantis if he had not taken this hit. Audio soundbite 2. And it's fair for him to say this because that's how she did sound. Listen.
And the truth is, in Gaza, it's a dysfunctional, toxic society, in part because they teach young people to hate Jews. That is endemic to their culture. And, we've been dealing with this issue. I remember in Congress, people tried to defund some of the money going to the textbooks, but it is really, really bad. And so you just have to understand that. And it doesn't mean that they're all members of Hamas, but what it does mean is that's not something you want to import into the United States. I'm willing to speak the truth. She's trying to be politically correct. She's trying to please the media and people on the left. I don't care about that. I'm going to speak the truth and let the chips fall where they may. I don't think that you're going to find a lot of polling suggesting that they believe Israel has a right to exist as a Jewish state. And I don't think you would find a lot of pro-Jewish sentiment amongst the population. Because that would you'd be persona non grata there.
He is emphatically not wrong. So I would have, like I said, I would have criticized him had he not taken that response. Because you're in a primary for the love. You got to hit. Hit somebody. That's what my husband would yell at football games when my kids were on the field. When my youngest played football, he'd be out there, hit somebody. It's Texas. Shut up. I don't want nobody covering their genitals and going hiding in the corner. Audio soundbite 3. So Nikki Haley responds to this. They're dragging this out. So Nikki Haley responds to what DeSantis just responded to. This is her latest clip on this. Listen.
I've always said we shouldn't take any Gazan refugees in the U.S. I said it when I was at the UN that we shouldn't take Syrian refugees at the U.S. I believe that those in the region should take them. I said that about Syria then. That's why Jordan and Turkey took the bulk of the refugees there. And I think, honestly, the Hamas sympathizing countries should take these Gazans now. We're talking about Qatar.
Here's my question.
Iran.
Go ahead and cut this. Why did she not just come out and say that in the interview with Jake Tapper? Now you understand. Her people have had to spend 2 days now trying to reset this. They've had to spend 2 days trying to reset this. She's taken hits in the press. She's taken hits from other candidates. And it was smart for DeSantis to respond the way he did because I don't care if you like her or not. I got friends who like her. She looked weak as hell with that answer to Tapper on Sunday, and she did. Actually, she looked weak on Face the Nation saying that. And then she looked weak when she was answering that with Tapper. She had 2 separate interviews in which she came off sounding weak. Now, you could say, and I was very generous, and the Tapper question was very inarticulate and clumsy, and it sounded like a college freshman asking a question. I get it. She maybe didn't know what she was responding to. Face the Nation wasn't like that, though. Her answer there should have been her answer Sunday. Her answer there should have been her answer Monday morning. But it wasn't. Why is it taking 2 days for them to get right on this? And that's on her. You can't get mad at other people saying, whoa, you sound weak here. When you sounded weak. You can't get mad at other people. Was she turning into Vivek? How dare you quote me accurately? Even with my tweets. How dare you? For the love, come on.